Vermont.
Thank you, and let me say to my friend Senator Thune, it's certainly, I concur with you, what a pleasure it is to be spending New Year's Day with you and our colleagues, exactly what I know and every other member here wanted to do. But here we are because we have to be here. And we are here because back home in my state and all over this country, millions and millions of families are struggling to put food on the table. They are struggling to pay their rent. They are struggling to come up with the money they need to go to the doctor. And this hits me in a sense, in a personal way. I just received the other day from a colleague of mine in Burlington, Vermont, where I live. Burlington, Vermont, largest city in the state of Vermont, all of 40,000 people. And what a volunteer wrote to me, they said, this is the quote, reporting on a food drive in Burlington, Vermont, where I live. Quote, over 30 volunteers showed up from the Champlain School to help bag groceries and to hand them out to those who came out. Unfortunately, there was not nearly enough donated food to provide a bag to everyone who showed up, despite us planning on an increased need. The line of cars filled the parking lot, wrapped around the school, and went out onto the main road for half a mile. This represented a major uptick from the October event that we were involved in. This is Burlington, Vermont. Hundreds of cars lining up for emergency food, and the volunteers did not have enough food to distribute. They had to say to families who were trying to feed their kids,
this is what they gotta base it on.
Have enough food.
I mean, it might not make sense to, those on the Republicans, but this is what they gotta see. And it's a greater percentage of people that's suffering.
Others have raised objection.
And that's the part that they need to see and understand, regardless. The people of America, of this country, we make up America.
So all that Senator Schumer is asking, all that I am asking, is a simple request. Bring the bill to the floor. Not even asking you to vote for it. Bring the bill to the floor. And on top of everything else, we need 60 votes to pass. 60 votes. Can we get 60 votes? I don't know. I think virtually all of the 48 Democrats will vote for it. It means, Senator Thune, that we need 12 Republicans. I gather we got one right here who indicated he would vote for it. 5 or 6 others have been public about saying they will vote for it. Will we get the rest? I don't know. You don't know. But what is the problem with giving members of the United States Senate the opportunity to vote on the legislation? And when we have that debate, you can come up and you can raise all of your objections and we can debate it. Now I hear Senator Thune and Senator McConnell before him talk about this bill being socialism for the rich, which I've got to tell you I find, Mr. President, somewhat hysterical. Because that's an issue I have been talking about for many, many years. And I am very delighted that my conservative Republican friends now recognize that we do have socialism for the rich. To paraphrase Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who said that we live in a society where we have socialism for the rich and rugged individualism for the poor. King was right. But despite what my Republican
make a whole lot of sense
are saying, truth is that according to the Tax Policy Center, the top 5% of Americans, the wealthiest people in our country, would receive less than 1% of the benefits of these direct payments. Less than 1%. Doesn't sound to me like too much socialism for the rich. But while we are on the subject of socialism for the rich, which my Republican friends have suddenly become very concerned about, let me talk about the Trump tax proposal that was pushed very hard by Senator McConnell and the Republican leadership, and where I think every Republican voted for it. You want to talk about socialism for the rich? It is not the bill that puts $2,000 into working class hands all over this country. That ain't socialism for the rich. This is socialism for the rich in that bill. Amazon. Oh, by the way, I must say this if I may. We were quoting the liberal Washington Post, owned by Jeff Bezos, the wealthiest guy in the world. So here is Jeff Bezos' company, Amazon, and they received a tax rebate. They paid nothing in 2018 in federal taxes. That's a corrupt tax system to begin with. But then on top of that, they received $129
They can't give American people $2,000?
That, Senator Thune,
even if you just gave $2,000 to adults and $600 for kids. I mean, you gotta work the kinks out because.
But it's not just Amazon.
Wow, they come up with their evidence and their information. They doing their homework.
And yet they received $187 million rebate from that particular bill. Chevron, helping to destroy our planet with their carbon emissions, $181 million in a rebate. That, my friends, is what socialism for the rich is about. Socialism for the rich is not in the midst of this terrible pandemic.
And that's the key. We're in the midst of a terrible pandemic. We're in the midst of a pandemic that not only this country, but the world has never seen before. And that's the thing that I think that is missing with this, the argument in the Senate, you know, with these people that can make this, you know.
Tens of millions of families
once again
are facing eviction all over this
the
country.
Weakness of our country is just being seen, and it's just,
moms are struggling to feed their kids, keep the electricity on, and be able to go to the doctor. Now, I hear from our Republican friends that the economy is doing better. But I would like to just read to them a few of the stories that I have received in my office. We ask people, simple question, how are you doing out there? What's going on in your lives? And we receive many, many thousands.
This is the heart of the people. This is what they got to come to more of an understanding about. Just what he's pointing out.
Reality here to the United States Senate, which often
their heart is not beating for the people. They're just talking about a percentage of people, the people that's decide this up in objection. You know,
$2,000 is the difference between keeping our apartment and being evicted.
And these are the people that need it the most. Just what he's.
I can afford to feed my 3
with his
kids.
Evidence. I mean.
Now maybe we should give her a long lecture on macroeconomics and how well the stock market is doing.
The evidence speaks for itself.
All she's worried about is feeding her 3 children. A woman in Wisconsin wrote, $2,000 would mean not having to choose between rent and groceries and not having to ration my partner's meds. Woman in Nevada wrote, it means paying my rent.
And this is a wide scope of America. This is not like before the pandemic. You know, this is.
Father in Florida wrote, quote, it would mean I could pay my bills, my electricity and phone are about to get shut off. I didn't have money for my son on Christmas, and I won't have money for his birthday on January 2nd. Father in New Jersey wrote, it would mean I could pay off credit card debt accumulated during this pandemic, feed my children, and pay my bills. Parent in Massachusetts wrote, it would mean that I could pay my rent and electricity and put food on the table. Woman in Missouri wrote, it would mean getting out of crushing debt. It would mean survival without daily fear. Someone in Texas wrote, it would mean I could actually put food in the fridge. man in Maryland wrote, quote, would mean I don't have to beg or go without food, shelter, and medicine. It would mean my family stays warm another couple of months and my dad gets proper treatment.
Senator, yield for a question.
I would.
I'd like to ask a question of the senator from Vermont through the chair.
This reminds me of the
Republican
movie
analysis
Scrooge.
of the bill which you and Senator Schumer and
It's
I
like
are asking for a
all
vote on. A bill which passed the House.
the
would give
angels,
$2,000
these
basically,
people are
in,
coming to
allotments or payments
the
families
person
across
that is
America
the
with
Scrooge,
certain income
and they're
restrictions.
saying, look, they're
And I've
showing
heard
them
from the
all
other side of the
all
aisle
what's going on,
repeatedly
and that you
that
need
this
to make
is
a
socialism
decision.
for the rich, that this is fundamentally
But
unfair,
I don't
and that we should do
understand.
things in a targeted way. That's the argument that's made over and over again. And reference has been made repeatedly to the COVID-19 bill that passed last week with 92 votes, including many of the Republicans, virtually all of them, not all of them, but virtually all of them. And so that bill, if I remember correctly, had a $600 payment included in the bill. And I asked my staff, would you please analyze the formula for distributing the $600 and compare it to the formula for the $2,000, which is part of our bill. And lo and behold, they discovered it's the same formula. So if there is some fundamental moral injustice in the distribution of these funds, then I'm afraid all but 6 of the Republicans are guilty of the same immorality, because they all voted for that formula last week when it was $600, and now are scandalized by the notion that the same formula they voted for would be used for a $2,000 payment. I'm sure I've missed something in the translation here. I'd like to ask the senator from Vermont to explain this full outrage from the Republican side of the aisle.
Well, I think my friend from Illinois missed nothing in the translation. He's exactly right. But I also...
from Illinois makes a good point. The senator yield for a question.
Yeah.
So if the same formula is used and you're increasing the amount by $1,400 per person, so you're going from basically for a family of 4, what would be $2,400 payment to $8,000 payment, and you phase that down using the same formula, does the senator from Illinois understand the math and why that skews toward people who make a lot more money than they would under the other formula?
If the question's directed toward me, I'll answer it.
Well, I just think that you're making a point and a statement which is not accurate, because you're saying the formula is the same. The formula is the same, but the inputs change, and so the way it ramps down means that somebody who makes $350,000 gets a payment under the Sanders-Hawley proposal that they wouldn't know, and it phases out a lot sooner, as you know. So let's be clear about how that formula works, because you are misrepresenting the way that formula works.
And I asked my friend from
Vermont has the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I would ask my friend from South Dakota. Do you disagree with the Tax Policy Center, which says that the top 5% of Americans, the wealthiest people in our country, would receive less than 1% of the total benefits being disbursed?
I have not seen the Tax Policy Center, but I know math, and I know as a basic principle that when you stick bigger numbers in there, and you're using the same formula to phase something out, you're going to make it available to people who make a lot more money. That is a mathematical fact. And what you are saying when you talk about the same formula, it skews entirely different in the income scale. You know that. And all I'm saying is don't misrepresent the facts.
What I am saying is that according to a very reputable tax center organization, people who do this for a living, less than 1% of the benefits of the entire program go to the wealthiest people in this country. So when you're talking about trying to say, oh my God, all of this money is going to the rich, that ain't really true. But I would also ask my friend, where did you suddenly become a religious adherent about concern of socialism for the rich when you gave 83% of the benefits for the rich and large corporations in the tax bill that you supported? Where was your concern about socialism for the rich when Amazon, owned by the richest guy in the world, got a $129 million tax rebate. I didn't hear much about socialism for the rich during that debate. Yeah.
Very simply, what you are suggesting, so what you're saying here is the owner of the Washington Post who said this is really bad policy and shouldn't be done in this way at the end of this year. Is that what you're saying, that because he is a wealthy person, that somehow that's why he's making that statement? I think the Washington Post editorial board in most cases would be very sympathetic to the senator from Vermont's argument, because they take a liberal point of view on almost every issue. My point very simply is that we have limited amount of resources. This is borrowed money, as the senator from Vermont knows. And when we spent months, literally months, and you asked, why can't you guys just come down here? Why can't you just come down here and debate this? We tried 4 months to get the Democrats down here to debate a bill. We put a bill on the floor in September. We put a bill on the floor in October, a coronavirus relief bill. And you guys blocked it. You didn't even want to talk about it. Didn't want to have an opportunity to amend it. We've been working at this 4 months, and we finally arrived after months at a proposal that helps people who need it the most, including nutrition assistance, including rental assistance, and including checks to people, $2,400 per family, and including unemployment.
All that I'm saying, this is a great debate. John, we should have this debate. And in 2 minutes, John, I'm going to give you the opportunity to say you support what we're doing, and then we will have this debate. That's your opportunity. But I want to get back. The senator from South Dakota did not answer the question that there was not apparently huge concern about socialism for the rich in the bill that they supported, or worried about the debt that would incur. So I see, if I may say so, a bit of hypocrisy here. Senator Thune and the Republican leadership wants to debate this issue. So do I. I think it's a great debate. Great debate. Now, as everybody knows, Senator McConnell proposed an idea. I don't agree with it, but it's an idea that's worthy of debate and discussion. And he said, let's combine 3 elements together. Let's incorporate the bill passed in the House by 2/3 of the House, including 44 Republicans. Let's add to that the repeal of Section 230 of the Telecommunications Act, and let's also add to that, at President Trump's request, an issue about voter integrity, etc., etc. Okay? That is what Senator McConnell proposed. And in one moment, I am going to bring, I know Republicans think I don't do much for them, and I'm not concerned about them, but Senator Thune, I'm going to bring your bill to the floor. Show you what a nice guy I am. New year, I'm going to bring Mr. McConnell.
I like Bernie's
right to the floor and give you an
enthusiasm, his passion. He's very passionate. In this case, for the people, the heart of the people, the concerns of the people. That's in need.
We'll have 2 votes.
No, really. And in government, you gotta have some passion. You gotta have it. Because you just go on about these laws.
It's hard for me to imagine how Senator Thune will object to
picking sides, and it's just really about the heart of the people. When you really think about it,
this is the legalese that I need to.
God know how to work out the rest. Too many people want to do the part of God's work.
Unanimous consent.
But how you do it, it's all about.
HR 6395.
This is seed time. We don't know what kind of harvest this is going to reap for this country in a good way, just by allowing the heart of the people, because that's where it's at, getting these finances that they need.
HR 9051 to provide a $2,000 direct payment for the working class. That the bill be considered read a 3rd time and the Senate vote on passage of the bill. And that if passed, the motion to reconsider be considered, made, and laid upon the table. Further, that following the vote on HR 9051, the Senate proceed to consideration of calendar number 644 S5085, that the bill be considered read a third time, that there be 1 hour of debate on the bill, equally divided and controlled by myself or my designee and Senator McConnell or his designee. That following the use or yielding back of that time, the Senate vote on passage of the bill, and that if passed, the motion to reconsider be considered made and laid upon the table, all without intervening action or debate.
Is there objection?
Mr. President,
Look
Senator
at him.
from Missouri?
He like,
reserving
what?
the right
I
to
can't
object.
believe this.
I want to say that I can't for the life of me figure out why it is so difficult to get a vote on the bills that Senator Sanders has just referenced when, by my count, the President of the United States, the Speaker of the House, a large majority of the House of Representatives, and I think a super majority of this body are all in favor of $2,000 COVID relief payments to working Americans. Now, we've had some back and forth on the floor today about how we got to the level of $2,000. We all know how we got to that level. The President of the United States said that's the level he supported. The number originates with him. This is the number that he has
Trump
asked
even
for,
said it.
and the House adopted it. And a majority of senators have said already publicly that they support it. And yet we can't seem to even get a vote on it. We can't even seem to have debate on it. I mean, with all due respect, this doesn't seem to me to be a Republicans versus Democrats issue. This seems to be the Senate versus the United States of America. And I just don't understand it.
pretty
And I'm willing
much.
to bet
That's what it is.
that the American people don't understand it either.
Yeah, that's what
I
it
mean, here we
is,
are
homie.
in
It's
the
the
throes
Senate
of
versus
the
the
worst
United
pandemic
States of
in a
America. You
century.
got that right. You
That
said that
working
right,
people
because that's what
have
it looked
borne
like.
the brunt of. And all that we're asking
Yeah.
is that those working people be first in line for relief, and that they be given meaningful relief.
I know, I'm
that
a
is
working
only
person, so
approximately commensurate
I understand. I
with
get
the
it.
hardships that they and their families have borne. Now, I hear a lot of talk about how we can't afford it. I do notice, however, that we seem to be able to afford all kinds of other stuff. We can afford to send lots of money to other governments. We can afford to send all kinds of tax breaks and bailouts to big corporations. We can afford to spend enormous sums of money on pork. Hundreds of billions of dollars in that last bill on pork.
Yeah.
Hundreds of billions.
And give
We
it to the
can't seem
people
to
that,
find the money
the people here in
relief
in
for
our
working
country
people.
that need it.
The president and the House and the Senate.
That don't mean you
all
still can't
support it,
give
and yet we can't seem to get on
to
the
poor
floor.
people
Let me
in
just
other
share
countries or whatever.
3 stories that
that
I've
make
heard
sense.
this week alone.
But
this week alone, from
Our
my home
people
state, from
is
Missouri.
who make up this country.
Danielle from St. Louis County. She called my office.
And remember,
She
this
said
is
her
the country
utilities are about to be shut
that everybody
Desperate
looks
for
at
help.
as the
She
American
said a
dream.
$2,000 payment.
So,
would go a
if
long way to
people
help keep
from
the
other
lights on in
countries
their
looking at
household.
us for the American dream,
I heard from a
they're
mother in
looking
Southeast
at
Missouri, that's
us
the food heel of my state.
like
She
they're
wrote that her
making
son
their
had lost
their
pay
people
because of this
suffer.
company cutting
When
back
other people
hours
look to
because
us
of
as the American
COVID.
dream.
And
You
that
know,
he had
it
himself
doesn't-
contracted the virus, and so he had to be home, and he was missing work, missing shifts. His family can't make it paycheck to paycheck. His
Other
husband or
countries come
daughter-in-law is
here,
donating
people
plasma
come here
in
to
order
become
help earn some extra
citizens
grocery money.
to live out the
Donating
American
plasma
dream.
in order to
And
get some money
we
to pay
here in
for
America
groceries
make up
to
America.
feed their family. Richard from
And
St.
it
Louis wrote to
seems
me
like we're in a
that
battle.
any extra help that he
with
could
our
get
own
would go
government.
directly to paying his rent and his utilities. He had a
Some
job
kind
that
of
he
way,
lost in
the kinks
retail
got to be worked
business,
out.
retail
That's all
sector,
I'm
and he's
saying.
desperately struggling. I'll just say, Mr. President, these people, these are not people who are ne'er-do-wells. These are working people.
And it need to be worked
These are
out
strong
quick.
people. These are proud people. And all that they ask for, as I have said many times on this floor before, is a chance to get back up on their feet and to be able to provide for their families. And I can't for the life of me understand why we cannot get so much as a vote on these bills. And so for that reason, Mr. President, I do not object. In fact, I enthusiastically support the measures that Senator Sanders is trying to bring to the floor, and I'd vote for them both if we were given the opportunity.
Is there objection?
Mr. President,
Senator from Texas.
Mr. President, reserving the right to
Call it!
Senator Toomey is delayed coming to the floor on his behalf, I will object.
Tell E, you know what to do in there.
morning business is closed, and under the previous order, the Senate will resume consideration of the veto message on H.R. 6395, which the clerk will report.
NOW.
To accompany H.R. 6395, an act to authorize appropriations for fiscal year 2021 for military activities of the Department of Defense and so forth and for the purposes.
What's he coming here?